Good evening and welcome to this forum for the Huron Valley School District for the November 4, 2014 election. Today is October 21, 2014. This forum will be featuring those persons who have filed for the Huron Valley School Board. There are 4 candidates. Vote for 3 for a 4-year term. Sponsor this forum is the League of Women Voters, Oakland area. I am Jerry Burton, a member of the League of Women Voters, and I'm not a resident of this district. The League of Women Voters is a trusted, national, nonpartisan political organization. Our members do the hands-on work to safeguard democracy. While we never endorse any candidate or political party, we are directly involved in shaping the important issues that keep our community strong. As a League of Women Voters members, I have the opportunity to contribute in a leadership role such as this that has great impact on local, state, and even national issues. If you're interested in learning about how you can become a member and make a similar impact, I would encourage you to pick up some of the League's information available here tonight, or go to our website, lwvoa.org. The League of Women Voters does not endorse any candidate or political party. The views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates. The sponsors take no responsibility. The format for this forum has been established by the League of Women Voters. We ask that the audience remain silent during the forum. Please turn off all cell phones. We ask the candidates answer the questions with their views only and not interrupt another candidate. The candidates will be answering questions submitted by the audience. Pages will be circulating for paper and pencil. If you'd like to write a question, raise your hand. We'll get you a card to write your questions. The format is as follows. All candidates will get 1 minute for an opening statement in alphabetical order. Closing statement will be 1 minute in reverse order. Candidates will have 1 minute to answer each question in rotation unless time is extended by the moderator. All candidates will be allowed to answer each question and have equal time. Our timer, Judy Bateman, will indicate when it's 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and when to stop. The candidates are Sean Carlson, Lindsay Cotter, Denise E. Pastana, and Rebecca S. Walsh. We begin our 1 minute opening statement with Mr. Carlson.
Good evening. My name is Sean Carlson, and I am proud to be here tonight, and I want to thank the League of Women Voters for putting this on, and I want to thank the members in the community for being here tonight. 6 years ago, I sat in front of a crowd very similar. I'm not sure if any of you were here 6 years ago, but asking for your vote to be on the board. I was given that opportunity to serve you in the last 6 years, and together with board members, we've been able to accomplish a lot. I've had the honor to be the board president for 3 of these 6 years, and I'm proud of the accomplishments that, as a board, that we've accomplished together in this district. We've hired a new superintendent. We brought a culture of accountability with a focus on district goals. We've brought a culture of respect to all our key stakeholders, and with your support, I would respectfully request another 4 years and your vote on November 4th. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cotter.
Thank you. Thank you. Likewise, I'd like to thank our League of Women's Voters for helping us out tonight with this forum. I have been on our school board for the last 5 years. As Mr. Carlson mentioned, we have made many accomplishments and changes during our time. I am a resident of the Huron Valley area for the last 12 years and a retired employee of 34 years from Huron Valley Schools. I spent my time both in the classroom and as an administrator. In my retirement, I felt I still had more to contribute to the field of education and was appointed and then ran for the school board. During my time, I have found it to be challenging and very rewarding, and I look forward and hope that I can continue to serve Huron Valley for the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pastana.
My name is Denise Pastana, and I want to thank the League of Women Voters. I have volunteered for the past 14 years for Huron Valley in many capacities. I've been president of 3 parent groups, a member of District Parent Council, school improvement team, grassroots, a mentor, and booster secretary. I'm ready to serve on the school board because I have a passion for the students and staff. I have no special interest or agenda to promote. I care about keeping local control of our schools and enhancing students' education. Data is a good tool, but what is equally important is making sure that the connections we have here are valued. Our students get a top-notch education. The thing that sets our district apart is the connection that our teachers, principals, support staff, and administration have to them. This relationship shapes and inspires our students, whether they're high-achieving academically or have special interests outside the classroom. I don't have all the answers. What I do have is passion, time, and energy to do the work required to be an effective school board member. Thank you.
Ms. Walsh.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Rebecca Walsh. I live in White Lake. My husband is the assistant hockey coach for the Lakeland varsity hockey team. I have 3 daughters in the district. 2 are in high school in 10th and 9th grade, and my youngest daughter is in 7th grade. We spend a lot of our family time doing gymnastics, as all 3 of my daughters are very high-level training athletes. I am currently the president of the Board of Education. I've been on the board for 5 years. I started as trustee. I was the vice president for 3 years, and I'm now the president. I've served on most of the committees for the district, so I understand the academics part, the finance part, the technology part, and have I've gotten quite an education over the 5 years. My goal going forward for this district, if I'm elected again, is to improve the quality of education and be able to prove that we are in fact doing better every year than we did the year before. Thank you.
Thank you. Now is the time for questions, and we'll start our questions with Mr. Carlson. The first question will be, do you support or oppose the Common Core curriculum, and why?
I do support the Common Core curriculum. I think it provides a good standard pacing guide for our school districts, and it provides a standard across the nation. And so I am in support of the Common Core.
Ms. Goddard.
Yes, I too am in support of the Common Core curriculum. As an educator, I think it's most important that what goes on in the classroom is consistent through all classrooms, and that all students have the same opportunity. And I think the Common Core is a way of directing that in the classroom. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pastana.
I think that there are advantages and disadvantages to Common Core. I think in order to adhere to federal standards and get federal money, we follow that line. I also think that there are educators who are looking at different aspects of it, and some may not be beneficial to all students. So it's something obviously I would adhere to from a federal perspective, but I'd also like to look on our local and community level. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Walsh.
I also support the Common Core. I think it's important that we elevate the level of learning for all of our students. However, I think we have to be careful when we teach to a test and we teach to a common curriculum, because not all of our students are the same. Not everybody learns the same, and we have to make sure that we're still able to teach all of the students and make sure that all of our students' education is advancing. So the Common Core is a good start, and it is focusing, I think, all of the school districts around the country to focus on what's most important, but we have to keep in mind that all of the students are not equal, and we need to be able to teach all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Ms. Cotter. How would you address the area of school financing when we are one of the lowest funded districts in the county?
Yes, the question is, how would I address school funding? Based on the fact that our Huron Valley, we are one of the lowest funded in the district in the state, we have to work diligently for every dollar that we have and make sure that it goes into the right places. The opportunity I've had to be on our finance committee has given me that opportunity to learn more about our expenditures here in Huron Valley. So my school funding is that I would continue to watch it very, very closely and be sure that every dollar spent is going in the right place.
Thank you, Ms. Pastana.
As a member of the grassroots program that we have here at Huron Valley, I have been lucky to go up to Lansing and have discussions with legislators, write letters, get other parents involved, understanding that we are lowest funded in the county. I would continue to do that. I would support that we get more people involved in it. I think sending the message of what we do here with the small amount of funding, imagine what we could do if we were on par with the rest of the districts. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Walsh.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Certainly. How would you address the area of school financing when we are one of the lowest funded districts?
I think I would answer that question in two ways. The first is, if I were to address this at a state level, I obviously would campaign, as we have legislatively for many years, to change the way school financing is done, because all of the districts and all of the students in all the districts should be funded equally. In terms of how I handle that here in the Huron Valley District, we are very proud of the fact that we do have a fund balance. We're not in deficit like many school districts who get more money than us. And I think we have to continue to be very diligent. We need to count our pennies. We need to conserve energy. We need to do everything we can to maintain the status we are of having a rainy day fund, a fund that we can look to in the future, and keeping the budget balanced while still providing the best programming we can for all of our students.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson.
Yes, thank you for the question. Two ways. Number one, we need to continue to be advocates up in Lansing. We need to continue to remind our legislators that there is inequity in the financing. It is not right that a child of Huron Valley is receiving $7,100 plus and then 1/8 of a mile east of here in Walled Lake, they're receiving $1,500 more. That is wrong. And we need to continue to remind Lansing that that is wrong. How we address it here is how we've been addressing it the last 5 or 6 years, with the help and support of our community, of our key stakeholders, of responsible spending, of cutting where we can. But we also need to respect and understand that we've cut as far as we can with our employees. We need to respect where they're at and understand where they're at. But we also need to be mindful that we're not creating inequities in regards to each of the school buildings as well. We need to monitor that and make sure there's equity in funding across the school district as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Ms. Pastana. How do you feel about privatizing support staff? As an example, custodian, food service, transportation.
I am not in favor of privatizing. I think if you look at the long view, the money that up front that they say is saved doesn't balance out to the end. I think our support staff is made of community members, parents, people living in our Huron Valley community, and to have them lose their job because it may save a few dollars at the beginning is wrong. So I am against privatization. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Walsh.
Thank you. I too am against privatization. I think we need to realize that not all, but a lot of our employees live here in our community, and if we were to privatize any of our support services, we would be hurting our own community, we would be hurting our own tax base. The other thing, and the more important thing that we lose, is we lose control over our own employees. When we outsource and a third party makes decisions of who's going to be taking care of our children, who's going to be providing food to them, who's going to be driving buses, you see things, people who are untrained, inexperienced, unqualified, taking care of our children, which we absolutely do not want. And I would use as an example when Royal Oak decided to outservice their transportation and sold all their buses, and 1 year later they were spending millions of dollars buying a whole new fleet of buses because they realized in 1 year that it was a huge mistake to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Carlson.
I am not in support of privatization. I think that if you look at the results and if you do interviews across the state of Michigan, there's many school districts that have are regretting the decisions that they have made in the past. These are short-term, quick fixes, and they don't resolve the problem. Matter of fact, they exacerbate the problem. We have a great thing here in Huron Valley. We have bus drivers, parapros, secretaries, teachers, principals that are engaged in the total learning environment of a student, and I think privatization would get us off of that focus, and it would take it away from our core mission, which is about teaching and educating children.
Thank you, Ms. Cotter.
Ditto. I guess my response would be, everyone here has already mentioned reasons why privatization will not work for Huron Valley. We are a community and we need to keep our community and people within our district. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Ms. Walsh. As a board member, what do you see your role in the advocacy of public education with our politicians in Lansing?
I think the role of board members, community members, parents, our professional staff, the role for all of us is we need to continue to advocate. We need to contact our legislature. We need to contact our senators. We need to contact our representatives. And we need to advocate things that are important for our schools. As a current board member, we get legislative updates weekly, so we see what some of the proposed changes in Lansing are. We also frequently get updates of when issues are coming for a vote so that we know ahead of time and can contact our senators or representatives and voice our opinion about how they should vote. I think it's essential that everybody in the community participate in that process, because the more the people that we vote for hear our voices, hopefully the more they're going to do what we ask them to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson.
I think it's becoming increasingly so that board members, along with community members, need to make that 60-mile hike up to Lansing and make sure that we're advocating for our children, our students, our community, our taxpayers in Huron Valley. And not only talking about the inequity in funding, but other issues that have come up that have taken local control away. The last 4 years, there has been a real effort up in Lansing to take local control away. And I think that the community here and the community and electing the representatives to school board members is in the best position of making the best decisions for this community in regards to education. So advocacy needs to take place and needs to be a requirement for board members to make sure that they're up there with their fellow community members. So thank you for the question.
Ms. Cotter.
Yes, I think it's essential that all board members be active and participate in meeting with their people in Lansing. Likewise, in their own community, they are advocates for our students and for the needs of Huron Valley, which gives them opportunities in the board position to share that with the community. I think as a board member, it is part of our job to be advocates for our students and for financial support for their education.
Thank you, Ms. Pastana.
I also agree that it's important to be an advocate. There are committees, there's an Oakland County committee that people can join to band together and make decisions and go up and talk to our representatives in Lansing. It's something that I feel passionate about, and I think that school board members, along with the community, should make that effort to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Mr. Carlson. What are your thoughts on a balanced calendar, i.e. year-round school?
A balanced calendar, a year-round school, so a year-round school.
That's the way it's written.
Okay. Well, we used to have a year-round school that was integrated with our elementary school over at Kurtz. As a matter of fact, I think it was a more robust program years ago. Unfortunately, we did make a decision as a board a few years ago because of cost to cut that program out. If we had fair funding and fair equity, it would certainly be something for us to take a look at and consider in the future, because I do believe that there are some students and some families that this works well for, and if we can provide that. Our mission statement is inspiring and building futures one student at a time, and if we can reach those different students in a year-round school is one of those opportunities to do that. But unfortunately, we don't have that today in Huron Valley.
Thank you, Ms. Cotter.
Yes, I consider our year-round school as a choice for our community. I have participated in Huron Valley's year-round school and was one of the, in the first year, many years ago when we first brought year-round school, or 4515, to our district. As a teacher on the program, I found it rewarding. I enjoyed the difference in time schedule, as did those children that participated in that program. Again, it was a choice. It was a calendar that maybe fit someone else's way of life, better than others. I did find, and in that choice, it was a choice in calendar. I do believe that the education that our students got, whether it was in the year-round or the traditional year, I think our students would, it was one for one, or they would match up to each other. I don't think one program was ever better than the other.
Thank you, Ms. Bustana.
I think having a year-round school is a choice for people to have. Unfortunately, because of our funding and because where we follow, we are not able at this time to give parents that choice. I know there were proponents of it that loved it, and if it was possible that you were able to give that choice to a group of people, that would be great. But unfortunately, we have to look at the whole 10,000 students, and so that the board made the decision that was best for the entire group. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Walsh.
Thank you. In answering this question, I'm going to presume that the balanced calendar would be the 45-15, meaning in school 45 days, off 15 days, which is not what the year-round program was at the time it ended and had not been for a number of years. A balanced calendar has several benefits. One is the first 13 weeks of every school year are spent doing review. If on a balanced calendar, that would not be the case, because the students wouldn't have the long 12 or 13 week summer where things are often forgotten and you have to reteach. The other side of that coin, though, and the negative of a balanced calendar, is it really isn't very, in my mind, it's not something that one school district could do, because there's sporting programs, there are statewide tests, there are any number of activities that are planned around the traditional calendar. And it would be very difficult for one school district to go to a balanced calendar when no others did. So I would think at this point, I don't think it would be a good thing for Huron Valley. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question will start with Ms. Cotter. Considering the amount of employee give back in the current 4-year contract and the impending 2-year contract, what would you do to attract and keep good teachers in the district?
Could I ask you to repeat that one more time?
Certainly. Considering the amount of employee give back in the current 4-year contract and the impending 2-year contract, what would you do to attract and keep good teachers?
Attracting and then keeping good teachers is an essential role of our Board of Education. Without good teachers, we will not have a good program to offer our students. It would be my wish to examine our financial status and come up with ways that we could attract new teachers and keep our old ones by providing some financial reward for their work that would be done with students. Our staff have given back a lot. I'm hoping that in time to come that our board will be in a place that we will be able to start giving back.
Thank you, Ms. Pastana.
I too agree that our employees and staff have made sacrifices, and these are the people that are on the front lines with our kids every day. So I would hope that as a board member that we could take a look at that and do something to attract new teachers and support staff, as well as retain the ones that we have. And I hope that we could do that in some financial compensation. Thank you.
Ms. Walsh.
Thank you. I think that one of the most important ways to attract new teachers, to bring them into our district, is to find a way to engage them, because the teachers who are currently in our district, in my opinion, are probably not here for the money. They're here for the culture. They're here because they love Huron Valley. We're a unique district. We're a wonderful community. Everybody bonds together, and that's why we keep the teachers we have. So to attract new teachers, we need to make sure that they can see the community and the culture that we have. I think we have a significant weakness in this district, and that is because we're so low funded, our teachers aren't adequately paid either. We do the best we can, certainly, but we have recently did some checking and found that teachers who have been here 1 to 5 years have the greatest turnover, approximately 40%, I think. And some of our first-year teachers are living below the poverty line. That's really unacceptable, and we are in the process as a board of finding ways now to make sure that all of our teachers are adequately compensated, so they do all want to stay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson.
There has been a lot of employee givebacks and great sacrifice, not only by our teachers, by our parapros, by our bus drivers, by our food service workers. Everybody has pitched in to help this district go, which is a real testament of putting the students' needs first. And our key people who are on the front line deserve a great credit for helping sustain us through these difficult times. As a board, this board going forward has some heavy lifting to do to understand that we cannot continue to balance this budget on the backs of our stakeholders. So there's going to have to be some hard decisions, as was mentioned previously. It is part of the superintendent focus goal this year to look at this, because we do need to address this. A teacher coming into this district and starting at the poverty line is not acceptable. Not in Huron Valley, not in Metro Detroit area. It's not acceptable.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Ms. Prestano. What are the district's greatest needs from the facilities perspective?
Well, I think the maintenance and operations, new roofs, all of the issues that were brought about when we went out for our building site sinking fund this past August. I mean, our buildings look great, but there are definitely, just as homeowners know, needs that have to be done. You have to upkeep your buildings and infrastructure. So that's something that we definitely have to move forward and get some community input and have a discussion about where we go from here to keep our buildings looking how our community wants them. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Walsh.
Thank you. Could you repeat the question, please?
What are the district's greatest needs from a facilities perspective?
Our district's current greatest needs from a facilities perspective are, number one, parking lots and roads. The parking lot at the administration building is one example. It's needed to be repaired or resurfaced for years, and we have not had the money to do it. The road leading into Milford High School desperately needs to be repaired or replaced. We haven't had the money to do that. And our greatest need at this point, which we're in the process of replacing, is the boiler system at Lakeland High School, White Lake Middle School, and Lakewood Elementary School. Although Lakewood has its own boilers now, or has its own heating source, the boiler is over 40 years old and must be replaced, and that's where our current building and site seeking fund dollars will go. So those are our greatest needs. The other need that we have that's always pressing is technology, because technology keeps changing and it's impossible for us to keep up with it and keep recycling to get the newest and the technology we need, so we have to proceed as expeditiously as we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Carlson.
Well, I think Ms. Walsh outlined the greatest needs. I mean, it is roads, it's infrastructures, it's parking lots. I mean, it's important for us to improve these things. They can continue to hurt the problem. I mean, we've got buses rolling in these parking lots, and some of the biggest potholes are in our school parking lots. So we need to address that. The boilers, as you heard in other buildings. Our greatest need, though, too, is the focus on making sure we get out to the community and really share the reasons of why this board voted unanimously last year to put the building site and sinking fund on and in front of the voters. We did not do a good enough job. That did not pass this past August. Our greatest need is making sure that we're looking out towards the future and that we have the resources to have great buildings for our students, our parents, and our employees to be proud about.
Thank you, Ms. Cotter.
Yes, again, my distinguished colleagues tonight have already addressed a number of our issues. I personally feel that one of our district's greatest needs as far as facilities is to continue to maintain safe learning environments for all students. And by safe, I mean driveways, parking lots, sidewalks, leaky roofs. Unfortunately, things do wear out. And right now, the monies that we do receive, we are focusing and directing them toward instruction. Therefore, it would be nice to have another pot to keep our buildings safe for our students.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Ms. Walsh. Do you support or oppose schools of choice?
I support schools of choice. I think it's important that everybody has a choice to educate their students in the way and the location that they wish. Schools of choice, to me, encompasses both choosing a building within the district and choosing our district. We have many kids that are schools of choice kids that choose to come to Huron Valley. And as I stated in an earlier answer, I think that's because of the culture of Huron Valley, and I think we need to continue to have the schools of choice in our district so that we can bring in more kids from other districts, more students who see the culture we have. I would also add that this year, schools of choice was a mandate and was one of the mandates that the state gave us if we wanted to get the additional school funding dollars. There were 8 criteria. One of the 8 was schools of choice, which is evidenced as to how at least the state government sees the importance of schools of choice.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson.
I do support schools of choice. I think we have many students that have chosen Huron Valley and have chosen school buildings within our district because of the education that is provided here, the safe learning environment, the quality of the teaching that is going on. And I think it is vital for the viability of Huron Valley too. There are a lot of resources because we're an attractive district to some of the surrounding districts. So I am a supporter of schools of choice.
Thank you, Ms. Cotter.
Yes, I too am a supporter of our schools of choice, not only for instruction reasons, but also for child care reasons. People make selections within the district based on their needs and based on their location. Sometimes it's much easier to put a child in a school because grandma lives around the corner and will be available to help support and take care. So I think all of our families here in Michigan and in our community, some struggle, and I think having that choice available to them is a convenience and a help to the personal families.
Thank you, Ms. Pistano.
Well, I too support schools of choice. I do know a few families that have made Huron Valley their choice and are extremely happy here, have told a lot of other people, if you want a great education and be in a great community, come to Huron Valley. So I would not like to see that change. It would continue to be important to me that that's available. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Mr. Carlson, and we'll stay on the same vein but go in the other direction. What are your views on charter schools?
Well, charter schools, I think, they're not for Huron Valley, so I'll say that right up front. It might be a right selection or right choice somewhere else in the state, but they need to be held to the same standard. And I think when we're looking at the results of charter schools across the state of Michigan, they are not being held to the same standards as public education. So number one, that needs to be corrected, and we need our folks in Lansing, and that's one of the advocacy things that folks here, school board, need to remind our state senator and our state representative to make sure that these charter schools are being held to the same standard. What's key to a good school district is parent engagement, teacher engagement, and principal engagement. With the student at the center, when we have those three pillars of engagement going on, a student has an opportunity to succeed and grow and learn.
Thank you, Ms. Cotter.
I consider schools or charter schools as a choice, and I think families have that opportunity to make a choice whatever is going to fit best for their child. I do, however, if they need to be held to the same standards that we have here in our Huron Valley schools, and I believe that they need to be accountable as we are accountable, and they need to show improvement as we need to show improvement. I think charter schools, it's an option, but they have to jump through the same hoops that we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vistana.
Well, I think parents choose charter schools for different reasons, mainly because their needs aren't met at a specific school. While saying that, I think Huron Valley does a great job of educating kids, and I think that as a school board member, we need to get that information out and let people know there are ways that we can help specific needs that they're looking for. I also agree, I think that charter schools need to be held accountable. They need to be to the same standards that we have to abide by as a public school. So, thank you.
Ms. Walsh.
Thank you. I think I look at charter schools the same way I look at things like online schooling, homeschooling, and to some extent schools of choice. It's our obligation that we need to set ourselves apart. And I think that we in the Huron Valley School District do set ourselves apart. We are a great school, we are great communities, and that's why people come to Huron Valley, that's why people stay in Huron Valley. What I don't like about charter schools is for some reason it seems that the state legislature doesn't want them to be held accountable in the same way that public schools are. You know, we should know what their test results are. We should know how they're doing, or how are they doing on the MEEP or the MME or other tests, and where did they fall on the report card, and what color school under the new color ranking system would charter schools be. The other concern I have is there has been legislative discussions about creating charter schools that are like magnet schools to try to bring the top 10% of the students to those particular schools, which then of course would drop the average for all test results and other markers for the regular public schools, which I'm opposed to. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Ms. Cotter. And I have two questions, and I'm going to try to combine them, so I'll give you a minute and a half. As a school board member, what do you feel is your role in communicating with the Huron Valley Education Association, and also to be more transparent to parents and the community? So we'll be communicating with the association and the community.
So can I ask, was the question about my role as a board member, how I would communicate?
With the Huron Valley Education Association and be more transparent to parents and the community.
As a board member, I think it's essential that we in Huron Valley communicate with the teachers that work with us and the other work groups. I think it's very important that in Huron Valley we develop relationships with these people who are on the front line every day. I also have mutual respect for our teachers, our support staff, our transportation department. Without them, Huron Valley could not survive. We are all part of one. So my point being, to communicate with these groups, you need to have an open line of communication because we're all working for the same cause, and that is to educate our students. Likewise, and I think the second part of the question, we were talking about being transparent with our community. And I believe our board in the last many years has worked very hard to be very transparent and very open with everything, all of our dealings, and with the decisions that we have made. So I would just encourage that we continue that, that we be very open with our community and with our associations, and let them, so that they know where we are and how we're working. Thank you.
Ms. Pastana.
I too agree that the communication between the Huron Valley Education Association, all their members, and the board needs to be give and take. We need to know, they're on the front lines every day, so we need to know what's happening with them so we can support them, and as well as building principals, anything that's going on in the buildings. I think a lot of times, if you don't know what's happening, you can't fix a problem. So the line of communication needs to be open, and I'm certainly open to hearing anybody that has a problem or an issue. The second part is, of course, keeping with transparency for the community. If you don't have anything to hide, you're not going to hide anything. So people need to know that it's an open forum, there's a place to go if you have a concern, if you have a problem. And I think that's the job and responsibility of a school board member. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Walsh.
Thank you. I think it's extremely important that the board members are available to all of our employees, the HVEA, all of the other union representatives, all of our administrators. We need to have open communication with all of them. That's one of the reasons why the Board of Education appoints one board member to be a liaison to every school building. We need to, as a board, continue to work very hard to get into the schools on a regular basis to say thank you, to say good morning, to say, is there anything that I can do to make your day better, to hand out flowers, which we do occasionally. I know at Oak Valley here last year, they handed out, I think, hot chocolate or some hot drink to the bus drivers when they came in on a cold day, just to say thank you very much. And we need to continue to do that. My availability is, I believe, is well known already to the HVA. I get emails, I get calls, I get stopped when I'm in the hallway if a teacher has a concern, and I'm happy to listen and do what I can. In addition, the transparency with the community, I don't think this is a big issue in this district at this time. We have worked extremely hard over the last 4 or 5 years to make sure that we had the utmost in transparency with everybody. We welcome the community to come in. We respond to the community by emails. When we're in the community, we listen to people. And I would hope that all of our community feels like there is transparency at this point in the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson.
Yeah, first of all, addressing the HVA and go for any employee group. One of the things that has taken place over with the support of the board is we changed our policy. We changed our agenda to make on our agenda every employee group and to give an opportunity, a formal opportunity for them to express their voice at our meetings. That's something that has changed at Huron Valley School. So that's one way for open lines of communication. But we as board members also need to make sure that we hire, and we have hired a superintendent who reaches out and makes sure that they're having that connection with our employee groups, with the HVA, and that there's a good relationship. We need to make sure as board members that we're fostering and encouraging that relationship to take place. That does not mean, though, that we don't still need to strive for and get in front of the HVA and different employee groups and take questions and answer and understand where they're coming from. But be mindful of our role of looking upward and outward and not downward and inward in regards to doing staff work. That becomes an important balance that sometimes the lines get blurred. In regards to transparency to the community, prior to coming on the board, committee meetings did not follow the Open Meetings Act. They follow the Open Meetings Act now. With the board supported, making sure that there was a change. Every board meeting, committee meeting is now posted. We also have done some other things to encourage open decision making. We have report outs from committees so that members of the community can follow along in the decision making process. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Ms. Pastana. I'll give you an easy one for once. Do you have sufficient time and energy to devote to this position?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I am currently, I work part-time as a dental hygienist, and I have, throughout the years, made time to attend meetings. I'm available during the day, and a lot of evenings I'm available as well. So I certainly have a passion for it. I have the energy. I'm willing to listen to any group, any single person. I really care about what happens in this school district. I don't particularly have a horse in the race, meaning I don't have a child in the school district anymore. He's graduated, but I love the school district, and I am willing to do whatever needs to be done. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Walsh.
Very simply, yes. After 5 years of being on the board, I certainly have a good idea of the time and energy that it takes. And I might add that the last couple of years it's taken less time. When I first came on the board meetings averaged about 4 hours. They're down to about an hour and a half now. Since becoming board president, the added responsibility of I now represent and speak for the board through emails and other meetings and activities. I have not found it anything that was beyond what I was capable of doing and beyond my energy level. So, thank you.
Mr. Carlson.
Yes, I do. Thank you for the question. The time and the energy, certainly. I've over 400 meetings since I was elected six years ago, and close to 1,000 hours put into this job. I've only been absent 3 times, and that's because of my military service has taken me overseas. So I think my record shows that I have the time and the energy to do this job. There's a lot to be done. We're in a very critical position in the school board in regards to stabilizing the environment and the culture of respect that is happening now in the district. And I think the next 4 years is very important. So I've got the time and the energy to do that and be with this school district.
Thank you, Ms. Cotter.
Yes, I am currently retired, and I live in the community, and I have time available that I do use for my board work. I also find as a board member that I make myself available to be in classrooms and to be in buildings sometimes when other people maybe are not available. So I've had that luxury of being able to be available for activities here in Huron Valley. It's something I look forward to, something I enjoy very much. Thank you.
Next question, we'll start with Ms. Walsh, and this will be the last question prior to the closing remarks. What do you believe is the greatest challenge facing the district and the most pressing issues in public education today?
Repeat the question, please.
What do you believe will be the greatest challenge facing the district and the most pressing issues in public education today?
The greatest challenge that our district faces is obvious, and that is providing the best education we can with the limited amount of funding that the district has provided. That has been our challenge. That will continue to be our challenge, and we will continue to accept that challenge and move forward and do the very best we can. What pressing issues are there currently? I think there are a number of issues, not just in Huron Valley or this county or the state, but we're seeing that education, the United States in terms of its education, is falling lower and lower in the world rankings. We need to make sure that we are teaching our children what they need to learn to empower them as adults. I recently heard a young adult say that part of the millennial generation, we're always taught we're going to go to get them out of high school, send them to college, and they'd get a good job, and they're finding out that what we've been telling them isn't true. And so our challenge is to find ways to teach the students so that they can go out and be productive adults in our society after they leave Huron Valley. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Carlson.
Yes, the greatest challenge, as was stated before and was stated 6 years ago when I sat in this seat, is the finances of this district. That is our greatest challenge, of really making sure that we keep great employees, that we recruit and retain great employees in this district so that we can create a safe and excellent learning environment. That is our greatest challenge. That is the greatest challenge for this board, for this superintendent, for the administration, for every employee of this district, and will continue to be. We need to be diligent, we need to be thoughtful, we need to be comprehensive in our approach and how we tackle this greatest challenge. We need to get better at it. And I think we've got the right people in the right seats, and we're on the right bus going in the right direction. All the data is suggesting and pointing that we're on our way up, and we need to keep going in the right direction. The most pressing issue is educating our children for jobs that don't even have titles today, helping them become good problem solvers and so that they can be productive citizens.
Thank you. Ms. Cotter.
Yes, I think some of our greatest challenge currently right now in Huron Valley is that we have a declining enrollment. And with the declining enrollment, we've had financial issues. I think that will continue to be in the forefront. I also believe that our hiring and retaining of staff is of utmost importance, that we're able to do that here in Huron Valley. Our chief goal is that we are to educate our children, and like Mr. Carlson said, we are working with students to prepare them for a future, and we're not quite sure what that will be. So I feel very strongly that our greatest challenge is educating our students for the future based on the finances that we do have available. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pastana.
I echo everybody else. The funding allocation from the state is certainly our greatest challenge facing this district. We've heard tonight all the great things that we do with the small amount of funding that we do get from them. I think we need to continue to make those calls, go up to Lansing, and keep telling them about the great things that's happening in Huron Valley, but that we need their support too. For the pressing issue for public education is just making it clear to the public how important public education is for not only our kids, but for all of the kids that don't have people that speak for them, that don't have parents that are engaged. We need to make sure that that we all understand that we're educating all kids. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the time for questions. The candidates will now be giving 1 minute for a closing statement. We will start in reverse order with Ms. Walsh.
Thank you. I'd again like to say thank you for everybody who came tonight and for everybody who's watching this. And I made some notes, and I wanted to talk about how some of the accomplishments our board has done in the last 5 years while I've been on it. But I guess here's what I really want to say. I'm here, I have a family in this community, I'm a part of this community. My whole family is part of this school district. We love this school district. And I have given the last 5 years, and what I see is there's been a lot more collaboration in the district. There's been a lot more open communication lines. The Michigan school boards recognize that. We're doing a presentation next month to teach other districts around the state how we've changed, how we have found that change makes it better for all of us. And I'm dedicated, I've got experience now, and I think that those are things that will help me serve all of you better. If you all agree, then I encourage you to vote for me on November 4th. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pastana.
I'd also like to thank everyone that came out, League of Women Voters. With the greatest respect given to my fellow candidates, I'm not an attorney or school administrator. I'm a mom who got involved at the elementary school, and that has evolved into my passion for this district. I will represent all students, staff, parents, and community. I support public education, and more importantly, I support Huron Valley schools. Our community should have input into the decisions about their children's education, not just someone up in Lansing who may not know what we value here. I'll be the voice for our community and be available for those I represent. I will continue to make sure that transparency is a high priority and that we support our students, staff, and administration. I would be honored to serve on the school board. and ask for your vote on November 4th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. I'm sorry. Ms. Cutter.
Can I go twice?
Now I forgot what I was going to say.
We'll restart the clock.
I would just like to again thank the people that are here tonight, and thanks the League of Women Voters for giving us this opportunity. I would just like to say that I've been part of Huron Valley for many years. I look forward to continue my relationship with Huron Valley. I feel like I set out to do a job, and I'm not finished. I look forward to working for another 4 years for the community here in Huron Valley. Our children are our precious cargo, and I think we need to take that to heart and make sure that they have everything they need as they go forward. I look forward and hope that I have an opportunity to continue to work here in Huron Valley. And that being said, I am sitting here with a very distinguished group of people. I wish our voters luck with their votes this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Carlson.
Yes, I too would like to thank the League of Women Voters for putting this on and for the folks to be here today. Thank you, first and foremost, for voting for me 6 years ago and 5 years ago. What an honor and a privilege it has been to serve this district. I've had the privilege to get up early in the morning and ride a school bus. I've had the honor to be in the classroom and talk to different students. I've had the privilege to be at some late board meetings with fellow members up here as well as co-members out in the crowd, making a difference in the lives of students here. I've had the honor and distinction of shaking hands of graduates in this school district. Making tough decisions has been difficult, but we've seen the fruits of our labor. We've had to make some tough love decisions with some disciplinary things, and we've seen those kids come back and rise to the occasion because of decisions that we've made. What an honor that it has been, and appreciate your consideration on November 4th. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes our forum. The League of Women Voters would like to thank the audience, the candidates, Dr. Baker and his staff, and Huron Valley TV for making this forum possible. For further information on the candidates, check the League of Women Voters website and our voter guide at lwvoa.org. Also on vote411.org. When known, rebroadcast times of this forum will be posted on the League website. The League of Women Voters is funded by contributions from concerned businesses and citizens. Our membership is open to men and women over the age of 18. Remember to vote November 4, 2014. Democracy is not a spectator sport. Thank you and good night.